see, I've got the original old bumpers here, or the overriders I should say, and as you can see they're pretty badly dented on the sides. The corrosion's quite bad in them as well, and there's been a lot of repairs, welds. These bolts have been welded in rather than putting in from the back, possibly because the squares off them have stopped them from being tightened up, but they're quite badly corroded. So I've got the you can see here on these are the front ones. You can see they're quite badly damaged there. Lots of real bad creases, like you see that one there, it's really bad. So getting all this out here, it's been pinched. Chrome's pretty poor. The fact there's a hole, I think, in one of them. It's one of these. Yeah, corrosion's gone right through there. So they're around about £167. I can't remember exactly, but there's no way you could repair those. Have them acid dipped, cleaned, filled, repaired, coppered and chromed for that kind of money. So it just isn't worth worrying about. Fortunately, the ones from SNG Barrett are the correct material thickness, which is good news. The welding seems very good and the chroming's nice, although there is a problem with two of them. But I had a comment from a guy called Big Jim, and he mentioned that he bought some of these overriders, maybe it was in the States, I'm not sure what country he's from, but he said the profiles were terrible. Where the bumper came in here and came around that area, he said the profile was terrible. Now I've checked these against, so this is for instance, this is the front, which is a single bolt like that, and you can see that the profile is pretty much smack on. But what I will do is I will take these up to the guy that's doing the chroming, Gillick in Graz, that's doing the chroming, and I will try them on the bumpers and make sure the profile's good. This is a rear one, and again the profile looks pretty smack on. I don't think there'll be any issues, but I will check them physically to make sure, and that will make sure the profiles are good. And if that is the case, I'll take these and the new ones and check them out. You can also use something like that, which is a profile cone for obviously doing body work. You can, if you've got a certain profile you want to make, or you want to check from side to side. This is what these are good for. The metal ones are slightly better, the pin type one, but you have to be careful you don't damage the pins. The only downside with this plastic one is that distance there is really not enough. It needs to be much bigger, but it does the job, and you can actually check the profile, you know, pop it in and check the profile that way if you wanted to. So, as I said, unfortunately, one of them has some corrosion inside. And the other one has a very small, it's this one in fact here, has a very small damage on the front. It's it's only a pin, but you can see it, and yeah, if I'm going to return one, I might as well return both of them. So, as I said, the next thing I'll do now is I'll take them up when things open again in January. This is the profile cone. We've used it quite a bit on the car. These new side light pods have been put on brand new. These are the original side light pods, but they were repaired, but they were actually taken off and replaced because the corrosion inside was pretty bad. So all the lead loading was taken out, the welds were taken out, and the front headlight pods were taken off, and these were just corroded. There was nothing left. So these were all put back on. And you can see here, by using, on this particular side light, you have a white side light and a little red indicator here, which you can see from the front to see if the side light is working. Quite a nice little feature. It's just a piece of red plastic, but if I put that on there on the same position, you can see how that is a really good fit. Now if I take that to the other side, hopefully you can see this, you probably won't from there, but if I put that on the other side, you can see that the fit is pretty good, but it's not perfect, especially on the back here. On the back here there's a little bit of light coming through. So this is why we use these, to make sure that they're the same both sides. Same with the headlight and so on and so forth. So in fact what happens is you end up with it being symmetrical on both sides, because That was a problem with these cars, they were pretty much handmade, and even though we used a jig from another XK150 open two-seater or roadster, we made a jig for the headlight bowls so we knew where they should go, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're in the right spot. There's a lot of anomalies with these older cars, and this is a 58 car and a very early one. It's the 191st roadster made. So it's quite an early one. And this is why I got the second bottle in here. That's exactly what's happened. Is if I turn the pressure on, you can see there's virtually hardly any content left in it. So I've got the backup one now, so I can put that straight on. It's Friday, 1st of January, so nothing's open now until Monday. So it was just as well I did get it. When the content gauge gets down to a certain amount, you've got to be very careful. The pressure drops down massively quickly, just like a fuel gauge, I guess. So it's something to be aware of. So I'll change the bottle tomorrow. So you can see I've changed the bottle over. That's the new bottle. You can see the difference in the pressure. Now, I put this on yesterday, and I always turn it off in between. But I'm very fortunate I've got no leaks at all on this. But a good way of checking this is when you go to put it on and when you open it, just check that content, because if it flicks up a lot, you're obviously losing some gas. So if I open that now, you can see it's hardly gone up. So that's something to check for when you change a bottle over. If it jumps up, you know that you're losing stuff through the line or through the lance or through the nozzle. So I get quite a few comments and guys talking about wearing masks and things. I mean, the fact that we're wearing masks, I go shopping, it's easy enough to use it inside the workshop. And I have to admit, there's a lot of times when Amir and I don't wear them, and I've gone in at night and blown my nose and from the cut-in discs and from the flat wheels and so on, and my nose is just black. And if I cough something, it's black. So, you know, you should wear a mask, but I'm not going to tell people to do that. That's entirely up to you. My feeling is when you're in your own workshop, you're your own safety officer. You know, we don't have health and safety in private garages, thank God. Hopefully we won't ever get to that point where we have a nanny state that we're going to be told everything. But, you know, in your interest, you should wear what you think you need to put on. I mean, I would never tell anybody yes, no, whatever. You need to be your own safety officer, basically. After saying that yesterday, I have this battery operated drill, and I was using this wire wheel to cut a lot of the rust out, or to get a lot of the surface rust out. And of course, what happens with these flat ones particularly is, as you can see there, that the spikes get stuck out because you're putting so much weight down on it sideways. They get stuck out, and they have a very short shaft on them. Now this is teaching you to suck eggs, but when I tried, because I'd been quite heavy on it and the chuck had bitten really tight, when I went to try and take it back off, it caught me, and you can see here what it's done. So you can see that there's a half circle there where it's caught the side. Very stupid thing to do, but yeah, I was just lucky that. And then what I found out was, as you can see, the shaft is quite short on them. So if you can, try and get these with a longer shaft so that they don't catch on your hand. And the other thing that I found is this was on the maximum tightness. So, you know, instead of being at, you know, half or whatever, it was maximum. So obviously as I gripped it, it spun very quickly, otherwise the chuck would have opened. So something to look for, you know, something to look for. Wire wheels and discs and cutters, I mean, they are extremely dangerous. I've got so many cuts, and Amir has as well. So it's something you really need to think twice about, you know. We've got to a point now where we have so many, we have, you know, two that are cutters and two that are flat wheels and so on. So we're lucky enough to not have to keep changing them all the time. But these things can bite you very quickly, so please be careful with them. So I've done basically the middle bit. It's not completely finished off, but you can see there's no join there now across those three. I'm going to work up on this end here and also on the back. And I was saying earlier in the video that possibly what I did do is I got some long thin strips of metal guillotined, And then what I did was, when I was building the tonneau, this piece here, not the inside but the tonneau itself, I laid the strip in and then lead loaded up to it, knowing that without any paste the solder wouldn't stick to it, and then take the metal away, which is what I did. It ruined the metal obviously, but it did the job. And you know, now I have to cut this back a bit to weld it. It's kind of destroying some of it, but by the same token, you know, we needed a straight line here so that we knew where to bring this new, because all this down here, all of it, and here is all new. We had to put it in because it was just rotten. Basically there was just a couple of pieces inside holding it. I mean, it was together, but it was like a tea bag. There was that many holes in it. So basically the tonneau was hardly attached. I would think 10%, 12% attached. So you know, basically I needed this line to have something to work to, so we had to build this to make it fit. So what I'll do now is, here it's not so bad, I'll just heat this and knock it down, weld it all the way along, all the way up there, then lead load this, lead load the bottom piece here, and then what I can do is then start caulking it. So obviously all these will be caulked, any areas where there's a double skin like there and there, so we can get all that caulked up. And then eventually what will happen with this car is we will it'll have the primer coat on it, and then it'll have stone chip, so it'll be completely done in stone chip, and we'll do it in a white stone chip, which will then, you know, obviously take a few of the areas that don't look as nice, but it is the underneath of the car. But one of the things I want to do this week is make sure that the outer wing fits here properly, and I've kept to the outside edge, so this is all flat all the way along. But as I say, with the stone chip on it, we won't have it too thick on this piece where the inner wing or the outer wing goes, but obviously everywhere else. And you can see, if you look there, you can see how deep some of those spot welds are. I mean, that's really dug into the metal there, but they are original spot welds then. Obviously this all has to be cleaned up here. So I'll get that done, and then I can turn the car over and caulk the inside, and then once we've got everything done, we can do one piece at a time. You know, we can stone chip one piece at a time till we've got it all done. So there we are, that's how it looks. And yeah, so on that note, I hope you've had a good Christmas and New Year, and everybody's okay. And as usual, stay safe, keep the faith, enjoy your hobby. Take care, everybody. Bye.